Pounders, welcome back. Exciting episode. I got to meet Pete a little bit at Miami and dipping into his content over the years in DFS. So this is a special moment. Pete, welcome to the live stream. I'd love to sort of dive into like the history of Pete, what started the content wheel, and the YouTube drive.
Yeah, man. I feel like my YouTube has had like lots of different evolutions over the years. I think I had initially started doing the man's character, who is this like spoof DFS, like poker, kind of
Yeah.
Guido bro character. And
Yeah.
because when I first got into the fantasy space, I was mainly just doing comedic stuff. And so I was like, this is this fun thing. And then it's kind of morphed into different areas. Once I started doing a little bit more content as myself, the DFS was the first thing I gravitated to. Had started doing some videos for Roto Grinders. I had this bankroll challenge, and I was a really bad DFS player. I always remember like Blender being like, I used to cringe watching your recap videos.
Oh, no.
Like I think I was entertaining, but I just had no idea what I was doing. And it was clear as I tried to talk through my thought process. So people kind of got to watch me evolve in real time as a better player. And then,
Perfect.
COVID hit and I met Brick, who I just came from doing this show with. I became friends with Leone, these really sharp guys. And I learned so much of them, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera. And I started bringing some of my DFS content over to my channel after I got kind of, my start with the Roto Grinder stuff. And then it was around COVID too that I started, I saw draft pop up. I was like, man, it would be fun to do drafts. I don't like know what I'm doing, but I want to do some kind of streaming element. No one was doing Bestball streaming at the time. And that's when I kind of settled on the randomizer drafts, doing these more kind of fun, comedic, 18 rounds of prompts and challenges, which I still do today. But then that evolved into, I actually got the bug. And I was like, man, I really like best ball. And so I started, streaming regular best ball drafts as well.
Right. It's amazing. No, I and I've seen the first video, and you got to scroll back. You got to see where people came from. You got to see where people came from. The first video is the live stream, I should say, the DraftKings Pizza Challenge. If you guys haven't seen that, it's quite the bit. But yeah, DFS to poker bits, and now best ball. What sort of made you start the Deposit Kingdom and the thinking about bringing other channels and kind of consuming them as you're now like best ball dad?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, so a guy, Siler, was a fan of my my DFS content, and he's like, you should start a Discord. And I was like, to me, when I heard the term Discord, I always associate it with like gaming. I was like, oh, there's these like gaming Discords. And like, I'm not a big gamer. And I was like, I don't think I need that. Like, I don't know. I talk with people on Twitter or whatever. And I'm really glad he pushed me. He's like, I'll set it up. I'll set up the channels. He's like, I'm guessing there's a bunch of us who watch your stuff who would like to hang out. And I was like, go for it. I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have the bandwidth, but like, if you set it up and kind of tell me what's going on, like I'll try to hop in or whatever. And it spiraled, and it's had kind of, some evolutions along the way. There was a Top Shot influx for a while where it's so funny because like, now that's such a little part of the Discord, but at the time that was responsible for a lot of people finding it, because that's where one of the main early spots that people were talking. It was like all the DFS bros were like, let's go talk about Top Shot in my Discord. And then it's just like, because I say yes to so many things and I have so many of these shows I've done forever, I have kind of like all these sub communities. And it's nice for me because it's like one spot. It's like people want to go talk about LOLs, if they want to talk about ship chasing, if they want to talk DFS, so there's all these spots. And then, like a crew like the Badge Bros, they were already all hanging out in there. They were kind of starting to form their community. And I was like, guys, I'd love to just host you in here. Obviously, I understand if you want to start your own Discord, but there's so much overlap here. I thought it made sense. And so that's been a really, nice partnership with those guys as well.
Dude, but no, that's unbelievable. And the Discord is like, even from a smaller content creator, has been a great spot for community building. I think that's one of the biggest things. And where do you take this talk off stream and connect on a different level, whether it's like drafting or talking about some of those shows or other interests? Like we have a random channel like about like collectibles. That you'll find some cool stuff in there. So
Well,
Yeah,
it's like I don't like, I basically use Twitter to promote stuff or get off some jokes, and that's it. Like I don't actually like having conversations on Twitter, and like, but Discord,
yeah,
I like if I get in a back and forth or like chiming in or whatever, like it's fun. It's like, yeah, imagine all the good things about Twitter, but without all the assholes, without all of the side people chirping in. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is
exactly.
why Discord is great.
Exactly. Yeah, because these people connect with you on a different level. They're in your streets, they're in your streams. Um, you're not as likely to catch a left hook from some random with one subscriber, one follower on the Twitter machine. But yeah, the randomizer, going back to that, that's been sort of an iconic piece for your channel. Uh, what what made you start that? And it's obviously different from anything else. And that was a long time running now, right? Years and years
Yeah.
since
Yeah,
the
it's
first
funny,
one.
yeah, it was exactly 4 years ago because this is the 5th season of it, and, I don't know, do Zach Kruger, who does some stuff at Roto World?
Yeah.
He's a writer, good fantasy analyst, he does some stuff with RotoViz sometimes, but I had remembered, when I decided I wanted to do a draft for Roto Grinders, it was on the draft site, and I think I put on Twitter, I think I was like, someone give me a challenge for this draft. And I was like, like I was basically asking for a prompt because I was like, I don't want to just do a regular draft. I'm like, I don't know. Tell me I have to start with 5 straight, running back or whatever it was. I was just
Right.
kind of crowdsourcing it. And Zach suggested, he's like, you should put some different things on random.org and do what it says. And he's like, put, draft a team with a bird mascot or
Hmm.
draft players under 5'10". And I was like, that's a really good idea. And so like I wrote like 10 prompts and I put them in random.org. This was before I found the wheel.
Yeah.
And from there, that nugget of an idea stuck with me. I was like, this is really fun. Eventually, I kind of grew out of the like, all right, there's only so many times I can draft a bird mascot and it's like interesting.
Right.
And the prompts started to skew toward like the guest's personal brand. They started to like
Perfect.
heavily feature into like what are they known for, stuff like this. And that's kind of what it has evolved into now
Perfect.
is just this like, yes, we're technically drafting, but it's more a chance to get to know the guests, play with all the fun things that they've established. And yeah, I love the what it's kind of evolved into.
That's awesome. Just completely leaning into something different. And even in the beginning, like when it's not hitting, you probably enjoyed making those videos, and that didn't change your path of like, okay, these aren't getting a lot of views. You just stuck with it, and now it's like such an iconic piece of content from your channel. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Hey, Chris, appreciate you joining the spoons and dropping a spoon. Same thing with Tyler from earlier. Now you have a show with Tyler tonight on the
Tonight,
randomizer. Is that?
yes, 7:45 with Tyler. It is going to be fun. I already have the wheel
Oh
ready.
my
We had like
God.
40 some good prompts. I pruned it down to like 23 or 24. Obviously, we only have 18 rounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna want to tune in to see what Tyler's gonna have to do tonight.
God. Jeez. Uh, yeah, one of the more NSFW episodes. So I hear. But another reason you're here for is the best ball side of things. Wow, this thing's filling fast. 61.5%
Wow.
full. We did sneak into a room trying to save some of that EV now, getting into these BBMs without the sneaky followers. And we're on the back here.
Love it. Well, maybe. We'll see.
It's what's been your favorite spot, least favorite, and has the CMC calf injury changed anything for you?
I mean, this is kind of a cop out answer, but I had a lot more CMC than CD Lamb up until like the past couple weeks. I think I was at like
Okay.
11 or 12% CMC and I was at like 4 or 5% CD. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like I want to be
Yeah.
even on both of these guys. So I did start taking like CD with some of my 101s.
Yep.
Now I'm about even and I think I'll just kind of play it based on draft slot.
Yeah.
And my guess is CMC will fall to 2 a decent amount now just because people are like,
Yeah.
I'll just lock up that. So I'll just take it how I get it. I'll grab CMC at 1. If he falls to 2, I'll grab him.
Yeah.
But my favorite spot is it's less about the player and it's more about I just like picking in the middle. I like 4, 5, 6 because I feel like I can get, Chase, Jefferson, or Amon-Ra. I can then kind of scoop up value. I can kind of gauge positional runs.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm reaching or having to force
Yep.
something to happen when I pick at the turns.
That's the big thing is you have to reach, and sometimes it's, it gets questionable when you get into that 16 pick ahead of ADP range. Are these players getting these players to fall to the next round? But it really is sort of go get your guy season at the 1, 2, 11, 12, a little more than the middle. So I do
Yeah.
agree from that standpoint, it's a little more comfortable. Let's see if we get one of these RBs. I'm a little RB heavy with Bijan, Breece Hall this season. Maybe not even by full choice. I like them, but like AJ Brown, I'm really only taking him in one draft slot at pick 9. Maybe that will change as I get a little closer, but these are my BBM exposures up. Who do you like here at 11?
I guess I've not been scared off of the Puka stuff. I'm still kind of
Okay.
taking it. I know the week to week isn't fun, but I still think it's kind of a tier break to that next wave of guys there.
All right. We're going Puka. We'll get this up to about 6%. Now, are you selecting the Marvin Harrison every time it falls to you?
I guess it is a little bit rare, so I don't mind doing it. I mean, I do think it's like worth having the Debo Samuel combo now
Oh, I like
too.
it. I like it.
I think he's going to be a 112 if this trade goes through.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, talking about like combos, like I have done Puka and Drake London a lot. And so if I can justify like a really good, strong selection to now pair that's a little different, like, so I kind of like doing a little Puka Debo right now.
All right. So I have 3 Puka Debo teams. This will be number 4. I'm curious for BBM. If you guys are curious what we're using right now, this is bestballoverlay.com. Promo code Pounders, bring it from $25 down to $20 a month. Excuse me, 30 to 20. But yeah, this is my first combo of Puka Debo. And I agree. I have him ranked at 14 right now. I think even more with the CMC calf injury, like you're just solidifying more carries potentially for Debo. If anything happens to CMC, Debo's value goes through the roof too.
For sure. Yeah, and it's like I think Debo is, I think Debo's a strong selection as is. But if Ayuk clears out, if CMC is a little bit hobbled, I mean, I already know going around Twitter, I think Lord Reeves posted it, some other people have posted it. Like Debo's splits without Ayuk have been just insane from a usage standpoint. I think he would deserve to be a first round pick in that scenario. So yeah, I think he's my take all off season has been you can shuffle up these round 2 guys however you want. If you want to take Waddle there, if you want to take Nico, if you want to pull up, like I don't think it's crazy if you said I view Malik Neighbors up here in this range. So obviously now Debo, I think you could have made the case before, and now you can start to really build a strong case.
Yeah. I like that. And getting Debo, if you think he's mispriced, getting him with different pairings. I know a lot of my Debo's actually with Bijan here at 7, so at 18. You can't get the Debo CMC. You can't get the Debo Lamb as much right now, especially in the sharper rooms. He's not really falling. But we have 8. We have 8 badgeless in this room, so it could be a little lawless. Come try to correlate your QB.
It's wild, man. I don't know, like 90% of my drafts are for content, I would say, but because I'm not streaming all 150 of my BBM drafts and I kind of save some of my bullets, like I'm now starting to mix in just some like drafts on my own. And I did a BBM draft last night and it was wild how different it was of an experience for me. Like I got Trey Benson 30 picks past ADP. I actually did a pairing I have not done yet. I did James Conner and Trey Benson because I got James Conner 10 picks past ADP. And then I got Trey Benson. I'll have to look it up. It was like one pick 140, 141. Yep. And I was like, dude, I'm going to lock up that bag. And I was like, this is so nice. I never get to do this shit on stream.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. I was doing drafts last night as well. I was doing the marathons though. And those are even more important to like stack your QBs, right? Like you're not going naked Stroud, and the amount of badges people that are drafting the marathons right now is insane. I would just recommend don't push your QBs, and maybe go rushing QBs if that room looks a little sketchy. Absolutely tragic, like multiple drafts in a row, like naked Rodgers, naked Justin Herbert, and that's the contest where it's like you're leaning into that whole offense hitting.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of dead money out there right now. A lot of new people on Underdog.
Yeah, and it's fun because he's like, I've really been enjoying, weekly winners. I just entered a bunch of slow drafts here, and I'm able to like target in a smart way a bunch of players that I don't necessarily love targeting in BBM. And it's like I can get my exposure to the guys in the formats where it actually makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. The Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
What do you like here?
He's a target
35?
everywhere. I don't take a ton of Derrick Henry, but I don't mind scooping him when he drops. Like if you think, between Pittman, Dell, and Flowers, I feel like obviously we're going to get one of those guys. So I don't mind grabbing Henry here.
I like it. I push up Amari Cooper a lot as well as of recent, but Pittman with the Downs news. Downs is my like 18% darling. So that news is punishing for me.
I kind of like going. I love these like little teammate correlations. So I mean, Pittman, I agree, would have been nice to get a share there post Downs, but I like Zay.
All right, let's do Zay with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the Pittman stuff was like hasn't been a guy I've been clicking a lot, but to me, like his price didn't go up in this draft or whatever. This is kind of like where he goes. And now you're going to get an even faster start for him. Like, I just want to pick my spots. Like, if I am going to get a few Pittman shares, it's kind of how I feel about Ridley right now, too. I wasn't drafting a lot of Ridley. Ridley's price hasn't moved. And I'm like, okay, like his projection literally just got better. His outlook got better. And if the price isn't going to rise, now's a good time for me to get some.
Yeah. Now you're getting a lot of news that Levis is working like one-on-one with Ridley on timing and back-to-back good practices. So yeah, no, Ridley's getting that bump, but you're not paying for it. So yeah, scooping Ridley feels pretty good right now as well. Pittman's someone I was off of. And do you think Downs like being out should give him a boost, or it just makes it a little more palatable where he goes?
I think I think he deserves a boost, but I would argue that the market had already like boosted him up a bunch, So it's like, you don't want to double count it. I mean, the market, I said this on Off and on the Clock with Nez yesterday. I'm like, to me, where he was going, he was already being treated like he was going to have a 28, 29, 30% target share in this offense. With Downs out, to me, it's more like the other guys, okay, bump AD Mitchell up, maybe Alex Pierce, maybe we finally get one of these tight ends, maybe JT runs more, but it's almost like everyone already said like Michael Pittman's going to get his, and like Josh Downs wasn't going to impact that. At least that's how they were priced. So I don't really want to double count anything with him.
We just saw Kamara go at 44.
Wow.
Now he's another one like Kendre Noose, and you don't really get this big Kamara bump. So I've actually been catching up a little bit, not going overboard, but a little bit on the Kamara, which I had a heavy fade, leveraging it with Kendre, and since the hammy, I'm I think maybe we should be clicking him now at ADP if Kendre's sort of out of the picture and out of favor with the coaching.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Kamara's? It's sort of the same thing where, he doesn't get this big boost from the Kendre injury, but that's because it's like it was almost priced in beforehand.
Yeah, it's wild though, because I keep having all these examples. Pittman, Ridley, we did Off and on the Clock a BBM draft yesterday, and we got Kamara 10 picks past ADP. And it's like, I keep thinking it would move in the other direction. Like if you're going to make me pay for Alvin Kamara where he went here, I'm like, no fucking thank you. Like I will take ETN over him a million times, Pacheco over him a million times. But yeah, if they're going to slide and you're going to let me capitalize on a new shift where he has less early. Yeah. Like he is still a little bit harder of a sell for me. But yeah, to me, like I was saying on Off and on the Clock, like guys like Rashad White, James Cook, Kamara, Like I'm where if they slide 6 to 7 picks past ADP, like I'm gonna balance out my portfolio because I am so heavy, or I was on Kendre, Bucky, and Ray Davis.
Oh my God. Jeff T pointing out that he also went Kelsey at pick 20.
Wow, he's getting after it. And this is a badge in here too.
It is a badge, which shows
what it
absolutely
means.
nothing.
We
absolutely
do
nothing.
not know.
A lot of fantasy golf. A lot of fantasy golf dailies. Kincaid goes to 57. All right, coming back up there. Ridley is there.
What price is this?
59.
Yeah, man, this is what we were just talking about. I think, I mean, Ridley was going in the early 5th before, like in drafts. So yeah, I don't mind getting some Ridley shares here.
See what the 12 spot does.
Yeah, I think there's two. I think both of the tight ends are really interesting to me here.
Yeah.
We passed on Drake London, so grabbing Pitts is interesting. And we also are making this bet of like if Aiyuk gets traded, like Kittle and Debo are both undervalued. So you could talk me into either Pitts or Kittle here.
Right. If there is no Aiyuk for Amari Cooper, Kittle definitely gets a bump. He'd probably be going ahead of Kyle Pitts. It's do we want to bring in the double stack with Debo?
Yeah, let's do the double stack. And I do really think like if Aiyuk is traded, I know it'll take a little bit just the way ADPs are kind of slower to move, but I think Kittle will be a 4 or 5 turn pick by lock. You
won't be able to get him. You won't be able to get him at will like you can right now. You can just basically get him at will at ADP. So
and think about this dynamic. If we really want to get into the galaxy brain weeds, if we're correct on these ADPs, Debo will be a fixture of the 1-2 turn. Right. And Kittle will be a fixture of the 4 or 5 turn.
Other side.
So you'd have to massively reach to get those two together within that new landscape.
I like it. Big brain stuff. Guys, if you haven't already, just join us. Go down, slap the like on the live stream. We're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream. If we can hit 2K subs before NFL kickoff, I think we're like 115 away.
What is your plan for that? Close. Like, how are you going to pull that off?
Just 1 minute at a time. A lot of coffee. Are you
going to do guests or solo?
Oh, hell yeah. Italian, I probably talk too much, and I won't be able to go 24 hours just myself. So I'm going to try to bring on probably about 12 to 24 guests, one every hour or two, I would say. It's nice. bribing those at 2 in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Those are the ones I might have to do myself, but I'm fully confident that the marathon won't be full by then, and it will at least have content. And the marathon, should probably be catching up on those anyways. Do you have any?
How far off are you right now?
Like 115.
All right, yeah. Let's get Pat there.
It'll be close. Also we have Justin Herzig coming on the show next Thursday as well for BBM. We had a fun one last year that got inside the top 10K for the regular season, and we ate the Nico rise. So Nico at like 110 versus where he's going at 170. Going back and looking at those teams are interesting as well. Hitting on like Love and Reed late, different ways to sort of get there. And I saw him talking about Rashee Rice, right? Someone that has risen from the 70s, 80s, 90s even. Let me pull it up.
Some people definitely got him in the early 90s at
85 for about a month, just under a month. And now you're taking him at 55. How are you now getting an advantage on those early Rice teams? Are you taking the falling Addison? Are you taking the falling Hopkins? Like how else are building that team to get an advantage on those early Rice teams?
I guess I would say I don't think it's enough of a rise to where I'm worried about super teams. I think I worry about that more. We haven't had an instance of it play out in a couple of years. The last instance was probably that Darrell Henderson year, where he went from like a 12th, 13th to like a 4th, 5th. But to me, it's still a pretty big tier of like Rashee Rice in the, mid to late 5th to where he was going more what's now like the Jamison Williams kind of Christian Watson range, maybe a little cheaper than that. So it's like, yeah, am I worried about that 2v2? Like, I still think that I could beat, maybe if I think I could beat your Rashee Rice and whoever you took with my other flip side of that, like my Keon Coleman and your what. So it's like, I guess I'm just not too. It's awesome CLV. I love my teams that I have there, but I don't think it's like we stopped drafting because people got Rashee Rice 25 picks cheaper.
No, I agree. I agree. Maybe last year's CLV darling that everyone was kind of creaming about was Madison, going from like the 120, 130 range to like 60s, 66.
He did end up being the guy you needed to win 3 billion, though.
He was on the team.
He was on it. Fun fact.
Tragic. All right, so far we have a 0-1-4-1. Derrick Henry, Puka, Debo, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, Kittle. We have 2 minis, little Debo and Kittle and Flowers and Derrick Henry. I was going to say, would this be a team we'd bring in a late Houston piece, but we're sort of running out besides like Schultz.
Yeah. I've been liking Connor at this price too. I feel like he's been getting pushed up a little bit.
I'm definitely down to bring in Connor with Puka. That'd be ideal.
Yeah. And then looking at our quarterback stuff, like where's what's Purdy's ADP relative to the spots we pick? Does it fall at a clean spot or do we need to push him?
Yeah, it should be at 107, 110. We should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 112.
And then what other kind of stack options? We had Stafford late.
Yeah, Levis, always an option. Yeah, James Conner goes.
Oh, Levis.
I've just had trouble getting James Conner.
Yeah, he's getting up there. I like Jones or Ramondre.
Okay. Let's maybe
we could do Jones and see if we get like Addison coming back, do another little Minnesota, like that running back wide receiver pairing.
Exactly. Also the revenge game. Oh, Addison goes. Okay.
We're doing good at wide receiver here.
The Dobbs reach up wouldn't be overly crazy, but maybe there's a chance we get him back at 107.
Yeah. I would do Ramondre here, and then we can come back and get a wide receiver. We still don't have to force it. Like, with this 4, Puka, Debo, Zay, Ridley. I know it always is like having that 5th. I mean, I'm the same way. I like my teams generally more when I have the 5th, but I also don't want to like capitulate and build a worse team just because I'm like slightly panicked about it. Because I do like Dobbs, but like, I'm fine with Wicks there too. Like there's some names there I think we can make work.
I think also I largely agree with that. And then when you look at the room, if you expect this room to be a little more unexperienced with 8 badgeless, and then even the 1 badge guy going a little wild with Kamar at 44, maybe you have a little more EV in this room to just advance it anyways and take some of those chances to build a stronger team, getting some of those guys closer ADP, and you get Stevenson. So there's a small chance I think we get Dobbs back to us, which would be nice. Dobbs been a really good target for Love so far this offseason. He's getting a lot of traction right now. So I wasn't really on him, especially for the big board, but now seeing it and getting constant reports, I've got up to 10% at really no extra charge. So
yeah. My thought on Dobbs, I think Dobbs is a very good pick, and obviously has, I think, become a slightly better pick just based on the news and stuff we're getting out of camp and even that Packers family night. I guess my official take would be, of all the Packers wide receivers, Dobbs has the best chance to pay off his ADP, but probably the worst chance to demolish his ADP. Like, if you told me which of these guys could be a 2nd round pick next year, I would personally order it Jaden Reed, Wicks, Watson, Dobbs.
Yeah.
But I have the highest degree in confidence in like Dobbs doing what Dobbs has done, like the most consistent.
Right.
Could I see Dobbs being a 5th round pick next year? For sure. I just like, if we get an uber smash, I think it's coming from one of the other 3.
Yeah, I agree. And that probably in a way makes Dobbs a better pick in the eliminator, where, you know, you have these other contests on Underdog. You can get your exposure there to a player like Dobbs. And those ADPs aren't even that wildly different, but yeah, the eliminator now closed.
Yeah.
Did you dive into that at all?
So a little bit. I decide, like, I just have so little bandwidth for extra, and I've kind of decided that like weekly winners was going to be the place I put my attention. But you know, based on what is still available in the lobby, like when we get close, like it seems like we might get overlay on marathon or sprint. Sprint's easy, like that doesn't require much extra bandwidth mentally, but like maybe I'll shift my mind over to marathon if that's really dragging.
Hell yeah. Ooh, a little Jake Fergie at 95. Okay, this guy's got 3 elite tight ends.
Whoa. What are we doing here, buddy? Hogging all elite. Our tight ends?
Now, makes our Kittle a little bit stronger for this room, especially if this guy doesn't stop. I thought he had a pretty good, like, okay build before then, but I mean, Jalen Hurts at 26. This is August, boys. This is August. You definitely have a little more EV in these rooms if you could build solid structures.
Do we think the drafter behind us is a wild card enough with Brock Purdy, or can we take a pick and trust that Brock Purdy will come back around to us?
He's been very tied to ADP.
Yeah. He doesn't have any Niners.
Doesn't have a QB. My question is, who would we be pushing it for?
Right.
So we have a padding of Jaden Daniels right now. Who knows? Maybe Purdy goes off before it even gets to us.
What is the what are the wide receivers looking like here? Oh, there goes Dobbs.
Yeah, Lockett, Palmer, Shaheed.
Yeah. So
that's pretty grim.
I generally like avoid, like if we come out of this range with a 4th running back and Purdy, like I'm okay pushing. I also don't mind, like I would probably just pull up Wicks a little bit if we did want to do a wide receiver. I'm trying to think if there's any other correlation stuff we really need to consider, but I'm not really seeing it outside of Wicks opposite the Green Bay.
Palmer goes. All right, so Wicks definitely an option with Aaron Jones here. Could we just double tap QB and go?
We could.
But we probably want Staffy, I would think. Staffy and Debo, Staffy.
The only reason I wouldn't double tap it is just because the fact that we have Stafford and Levis would make me. But the nice thing about a Daniels is it also opens up. Let's do Purdy here first, and just we can buy us a little bit more time. We know we want him.
Cooks in a single game slate, right? Leveraging some of the touchdowns, I think is interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm Wicks over Cooks, but you're not going to get, just because I like that breakout profile and we have the correlation.
I like it,
but yeah, I think getting a 5th wide receiver here is nice.
Andrew in the house, what's up, baby? Over at Fanspeak, doing some great work. Yeah, getting some of these minis. I guess the Brandon Cooks thought for me is just getting a piece of the Dallas offense feels really good. Are you drafting any Tolbert late in the last round?
I like Tolbert late. Yeah.
Me too. I mean, if we're thinking about the wide receiver 3 on Dallas, if you can secure that role, and it doesn't have to be 100% of those snaps, but if he's playing 50% of the snaps, that's probably a good click in the 18th round, even from a leverage standpoint.
Yes. Yeah. I think he, like, price adjusted. I really like that. I mean, it's always smart to be a little skeptical of, what would he be, a 3rd-year breakout? I actually just put a video on the Deposit Kingdom channel, and I did a little thread about it using some of RotoViz's research. And Wicks is one of the guys that qualifies, where he was hyper efficient. in year one. He met this, criteria that we're looking for, where you have massive efficiency, you clear at least 500 yards, and you fall into a bucket where basically all we need is Dontavian Wicks to run more routes. And obviously people are going to be like, yeah, no shit. That's why he's going here. But that's generally where these leaps come from, is a guy like Wicks, who I think is pretty good. That's like what we've established from year one. Now he just needs more opportunity. If he gets an extra 100, 150 routes, he will smash. It's worth being skeptical on the third year guys. When you look at the breakout rates, like year one and year two, then down to year three, it falls down to like a sub 5% rate, that those year three, where it's like, if you haven't done it in the first 2 years, your chances of clearing 200 plus PPR points at any point in your career are like, get nearly non-existent. That said, like, there is stuff working in Tolbert's favor, and you're not having to pay a ton to find out.
Right.
I like that setup for him.
Yeah. Tolbert, the price is like minimal risk for, I mean, what could be a really good, even if you just use him as like a floor play. Maybe you have a bunch of rookies. Maybe you have some players that might be suspended at some point, could pad them early in the season. But Jalen Brooks, the other guy there, getting a little bit of steam. He was a healthy scratch all last year, and it really was Tolbert and Gallup getting in the mix for the wide receiver 3 spot. So I'm making Tolbert one of my targets that I want probably a decent amount of, now that we're seeing it in camp. But
yeah,
just one of my late round
thoughts.
I
think the way I'm treating those guys too is like, I still kind of want to have a correlation angle with it. So obviously if I have Dak, if I have Philly stuff, I believe they play Tampa in week 16. So something there, because now there are so many good ones on the menu where it's like, okay, if I have Denver stuff going or Cincinnati, like, okay, give me Yoshi Voss in that pick instead, so like now there are some good options, and I just kind of want to use those little correlation tiebreakers to make those decisions for me.
And that might be where I'm having trouble clicking a lot of Wicks, is the difference between the wide receiver 3 or 4 in Green Bay, depending on most likely a CWAT injury. So, I mean, right now, probably wide receiver 4 on Green Bay versus like wide receiver 3 in Cincy going so late. I just tend to gravitate towards, well, we thought it was Burton. Certainly now Yoshi Voss making a pretty good case for himself.
Yeah. I think it is just like getting back to, and like doing that video obviously has me biased, but looking at that research of just knowing like where these true breakouts come from. And it goes back to the Dobbs thing. It goes back to like, could Cooks pay off his tag? Absolutely. Is Cooks going to even be is there like any world where Brandon Cooks is a 5th round pick next year?
Right. The upside
probably not. Yeah. But these guys have a time and a place on these rosters. If you are really running back heavy, grab the elite quarterback, the elite tight end, you're like, I just need some goddamn production to buoy me. Then they start to look a lot better. But on this team where we have 4 really good early wide receivers, I like starting, all right, let's take some big cracks now.
Do you think Wicks needs an injury in front of him to really get the amount of snaps? I guess we'll talk about that.
I don't think so. I think he can make that leap without an injury.
Who do you like here? We have Benson falling another 12 spots. We have Ricky
I think this is a spot to get a. I think this is a spot to get a running back. I mean, I love these little running back wide receiver pairings. If you want to do Corum, I think I'm Corum over Benson right now. I think they're pretty similar, and we kind of have that correlation.
Let's do it.
And then maybe we get a wide receiver coming back here.
I was a little fader of Benson and Corum, but I wanted to draft them, so I'm glad we're getting a little better price right now in today's landscape. Do we lean into the Aiyuk news that he leaves, and we have Debo, Kittle, Ricky, and those are the 3 guys that you're boosting?
Yeah,
with an Aiyuk leaving, I think that's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, how far ahead of ADP is this?
It's about 13 picks.
Yeah, which he's not going to come back to us. Right. And I do love the idea of this is a roster that is the Aiyuk gets traded roster. And even if he doesn't, like, it's not like this roster's dead. Like, what, we pulled up Debo 3 spots and we pulled up Pearsall 4 spot or whatever, 10 spots. Like, it's not a big deal, but it could be a huge windfall.
Yeah, I like it. The Ricky Pearsall thing for me, and why I'm behind on exposure, was just kind of expecting his role to be very small the first year without, the Aiyuk trade. and he definitely could be the biggest mover from this if there's no big piece coming back to San
Yeah,
Fran.
for
Which
sure.
is there still murmurs like about Cleveland? Those didn't go away today or yesterday.
I feel like every time I log on, there's some new
Little blurb.
rumor. It to me, like my most recent takeaway, and I guess this isn't fantasy related, it feels like Ayuk's kind of like fumbling this situation where he's been like almost too picky. Where it's like, to me, if you just want to get paid, like I respect that. Like the Patriots, it sounds like threw a big offer out. Like, we will pay you a ton in the same way they did to Calvin Ridley. And everyone's like, I don't want to go play there. And it's like, okay, well, now you're in the territory where you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to be
Right.
on a really good team. So like once you get into that territory where now a team has to be the team you like, have to give you the contract you want, have to give San Francisco. I'm now wondering if it is, and I know we just drafted a team as if he's going to get traded, but like if it's now a little less likely that anything actually happens.
It's interesting that you have Debo and you have CMC sort of making these little hiccup mistakes in interviews, talking about Ayuk as if he's a past teammate. So there's definitely something there. And I think I don't want to stand around and find out if Ricky's going to jump to 90, pick 90 after Ayuk leaves. So getting him even 12 picks before ADP, I'm sort of okay catching up on my exposure on him at this price, especially for BBM. He was one of my highest drafted players for the big board, but he was a 20th round click.
Yeah.
Trey Benson, Chuba, Zach Charbonnet. A lot of these, and I don't know if you found this to be true, is it tougher to build the hero or the zero RB builds nowadays with everyone sort of targeting the same player archetypes for RB, the zero RB guys in these rounds?
Maybe a little bit, but I also feel like there's so many of them that I'm like, okay, you take this one. All right, I'll grab this one. It's like you take Algier, I'll take Jalen Wright. You take Jaleel McLaughlin, I'll take Ray Davis. I just feel like it's just a never ending conveyor belt of running backs that are pretty viable.
Fair. Oh God, the 2-spot grabs the naked Staffy. Is that what I'm seeing? Is that what I'm seeing with the three tight ends before pick 100? Oh dear. Oh dear.
Wow.
Oh dear. These streets are not safe. These streets are not safe. All right, where's our best back stack? Levis. Levis.
Yeah.
We need you. We need you. And then maybe this probably it's definitely gonna be a 3 QB team, I would think, right?
I think so. Yeah, Brock and if you get Brock and I don't know who's going in that range right after him, like a Brock Tua team or whatever, then I'm maybe like, all right. But yeah, I think once we're past that, even Brock Stafford doesn't feel quite high upside enough.
I agree.
But I do think, I know people who draft on DraftKings a lot have learned this of like you have to prioritize your QBs more, where it's like we can be value hounds, but on QB, like I like that we just grabbed Purdy and just didn't risk it. Where I think that's going to be my note for myself in these drafts of like stop. I was pushing, I pushed Tua to like 150 on a Waddle and Tyreek team early in the summer.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not doing that on August 9th. I'll tell you that.
You can't. You literally you can just jump in this room and just know like, all right, it's we're not messing around.
We could do like a Pop Douglas if you like the Drake May stuff. I kind of like Pop sounds. My other guy I love is Michael Wilson, but that's not a stack thing.
I'd probably lean into Henry instead of the receiver there. Stop at 2 tight ends with Kittle.
Do it. Yeah, I mean, there's also plenty of New England wide receivers still to set up a double stack.
Right. You still clicking Javon Baker?
Not quite as much, just because I think there's better 18th round at this point, like Javon Baker was getting drafted for almost all of BBM. Whereas like say a guy like Johnny Wilson, right? Who's now really coming on as a sleeper. Oh yeah, we're on the clock here.
We can go Jermaine Burton. We could also go RB here and stop at 5. Or
if you want to stay on the New England thing and do Antonio Gibson and say if you're not into Pop, I think Gibson could be the 5th too.
I like Pop. I'm trying to see how he fits into. Let's go Pop. I have a shit ton of I have a shit ton of all of these guys. I think the price for like the risk reward, and now that Aiyuk's out of the situation, I'm feeling even better about these prices.
Yeah.
Dude, Frank, a member for 12 months. Okay, Pounders, if Pat hits 2K subscribers, I'm giving away 50 memberships.
That's incredible.
Frank's the man. Frank has been supporting for a long, long time. One of the best members of our community, and there's so many that chip in. It really takes a village.
Well, I'm excited to watch your downfall as you have to stream for 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
I think like I remember it crossed my mind last year when I was streaming all of my drafts, and I was like, what if like the contest is filling and like to complete this, I do have to fire up. And I'm like, I think I could do a 12-hour stream. I think I could pull it off just logistically. But I'm like, I can't do more than 12. Like that's my limit. I'm setting it.
Oh yeah. I think the longest one I've ever done is around like 6.5. So it'd be quite the test.
Yep.
I like McMillan. Obviously 24%, probably a little telling. Sean Johnson at 32%. He's someone I can't get off the click. I just think the risk reward is just, it's not proportionate. But to get off some of those guys, this 3-5-8-2, most likely 3-5-8-2.
We just gotta.
We have to hope Levis comes.
We gotta hope
Levis is gone. Oh fuck.
Levis went. My God.
Oh, fuck.
Man.
Tell me it was the 2 spot. Oh, it was the 3.
What did they have? Did they have Nuke? Have anything? Spears? Nothing? Or Raw Dog and Will Levis? Fine.
It's that time of year. It's that time of year to go get your stacks. Maybe instead of Pop, this is Levis, but like, come on.
But this is it's a good note of like why you like grab the Henry Douglas, like constantly be building out stacks.
I know, and we gave ourselves options. It's not for a lack of giving ourselves options too. It's Staffy going before ADP, Levis going before ADP. We can hit the New England thing. We can lean into that with the double stack, which is nice. Like we still have outs there, but we probably need like a random what? Like a random Danny Dimes.
Yeah, I was saying Dimes
to pad it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
He helps you get there, and then you lean on some of these stacks later for playoff correlation advancement.
And the other thing too, not that it has to be completely forced, but there's some options. I think, Dimes has so much you can do, right? Like Tracy, I think could be a guy you could pair with Dimes just for a little correlation. Obviously there's, Wandell's still on the board. I like Hyatt. Some people like Slayton. Like there's stuff you can do there. We could even do Theo Johnson as a third tight end on this build, and I don't think it would be the most insane thing. So there's just a lot you can do. Yeah. Oh my God.
We're being punished. And this does happen a little more when you're on the ends as well.
Yeah. And like a guy like Gino, who's the value now, it's just like hard to make work. Like the way this is going, dude, I think we just grab Drake May. Like, I don't think we can mess around. I just don't trust anyone at this point.
I love that.
I mean, we got to at least get our double stack.
I agree. There's really no one there that.
So
a little Gino, Jake Bobo.
I guess Jake Bobo Field Yates is always tweeting about Jake Bobo.
Yeah, he is.
We could also do the Denver thing and just do the double rookies, like grab a Mims here and then and play for Bo Mix, and like worst case scenario, if we get shut out at QB3, like we can tack on a name.
I like it. Estime's already gone too, or am I
bet, yeah.
Sounds about
Look at this, the market finally correcting on Vidal.
Yeah, it took a lot of time. We have him at 206. Just wasn't I don't know. A lot of it is the fear of the competition he played in college for me.
Yeah.
Coming out of Troy, just a little sketch. I was a little more willing to take him in the big board in the 20th round, but I was a little skeptical there. Now you have Gus Edwards and Dobbins as co-starters. Are you bumping down Gus? Are you bumping up Dobbins with that situation?
I really like Dobbins is going to be a priority target for me. I think this month, assuming like
Oof.
all things being equal, we're going to have a lot. Did somebody go?
No, it's just the priority target Dobbins. I agree. I have been pulling him up myself a little bit, getting to a little comfy 6% now. I have him 19 spots ahead at 133. I just, with that news and also my take with Gus, just not having the highest upside for that range, sort of similar to your like Dobbs, like how can this guy finish in, the third round for value? I just don't see it there with Gus unless he scores 15 plus touchdowns.
Yeah. And I think that to me, Gus has the chance to get squeezed in both directions. Like we might just be wrong. Yeah. He could be in a 50-50 split with Dobbins off the rip. And then if Vidal does come on like super late, then where's his late upside? Like at least with a bet like Zeke, right? Where I'm like, I feel pretty good that like he's only getting squeezed in one direction, not getting squeezed in two, which is where you start to get a little worried.
Yeah. You don't want to get squeezed. Now Zeke also comes with the passing back. He comes with the pass pro. Maybe we're hoping for him to be in the red zone. Dallas with the good O line. I think there's a lot there that Zeke should have been going ahead of Gus like the whole time.
Yes, I agree with that. Gus is better, and it's just like, man, which offense do you want to bet on? Especially at this point with Herbert potentially banged up at the start of the season. Dallas is going to be a top 7, 8 at worst offense. The amount of touchdowns, and I don't even like Zeke. Like I prefer Dowdle, but like if you're going to make me pick Zeke versus Gus, like Zeke for sure.
It's battle of the dust at that spot, and it's usually like, do I really want Zeke as my RB3? And maybe it depends, who your RB1 and 2 is, but yeah, those guys have been interesting all year. Kendrick Bourne at 193, Corley at 194. Wow.
Is that like he pops up in trade rumors and then someone's like, oh yeah, I forgot Kendrick Bourne existed.
Yeah, he might be on San Fran again. Is this a Bo Nix? I'm sweating pick 196 with the Troy Franklin guy.
Yeah, at this point, I guess no one's safe.
And I don't know where the Sutton guy is, but I'm afraid to look. Probably has no QBs. Oh shit. Okay, he's at the one spot. We're good. If he pulls Bo Nix out of a hat here, might just have to log out early.
I mean, it is crazy. Like some of these rooms, you get to the 18th round and there's not a starting QB.
It should be that way. It should be that way.
Yeah,
these late QBs are pretty good value right now, but you have the depressed ADPs of the elites, so it at least makes.
Do you know what we could do? You want our emergency parachute on this team?
Great.
It's JJ McCarthy and Jalen Naylor with our.
No, it's
Aaron
not.
Jones.
He's gone.
JJ goes, wow. All right, I can keep pulling these out of my ass.
Naylor's been getting a lot of.
It's Bryce Young, Mingo is the emergency.
Or Sanders.
Yeah, Bryce Young, Sanders. With Knicks, I honestly like on a team like this where like I think we could do something like a Knicks Josh Reynolds if you wanted the double stack.
We need an RB.
Oh, you're right. We're at 4. I mean,
yeah.
You could stop here, but I'm more sick with that kind of stuff. Definitely just lock up Knicks first.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Do you know who honestly is the perfect pick here? It's Jordan Mason.
Who do you like? Oh yeah,
it's Jordan Mason.
I love it.
We get a scroll the F down guy. Like literally every back on the Niners is banged up right now. He's having a really good camp. They used him a decent bit last year, and like again, I mean, I'm not confident that Eli Mitchell is for sure the way they're talking up Jordan Mason right now.
I'm so far off Elijah Mitchell. I'm just sick of it. Last year we saw he was the clear number 2, and there were games that they didn't give him the ball a single time, like 0 touches. So it's interesting there. Then you have Debo mixing in. Debo probably is just the RB2 in San Fran.
This is this is like the ultimate like Giga Niners leverage team where you're like Ayuk gets traded and like CMC's like sneakily really banged up. This team just absolutely blazes.
Yeah, right. The calf injury lingers, and
yeah,
this ended up being fine. Purdy, going to be the workhorse here, and he's a very steady QB, so it's at least good for us. Bo Nix might not start the season. We'll have to see with
I would
Stidham
like to
there.
bet on Bo Nix starting the season.
Yeah,
I think he is. I think of all those rookies, like Darnold starting, Brissett starting. I think there's no fucking way that Sean Payton, who's staking his entire reputation on running Russ out of town, drafting Bo Nix like higher than anyone thought was reasonable, is going to trot out Jared Stidham. Like, there's just no way they can do this. Like, you have to play Bo Nix.
it's bad. It's bad. It's bad all the way around. And with May, like kind of similar. If this team starts like 2-4, you're gonna get the Drake May chance coming out, whether he's ready or not. And there's gonna be a lot of pressure on the coaches to sort of make that change. So I think Drake May by week 6, week 7, the latest, you'll see him either way. And Purdy by week 9, we should be able to stay afloat. Very strong at RB, Derrick Henry, Jones, and Stevenson. Shit ton of touches there. I agree. If we want to lean into a little 10-pick drop in Corum, we could do this, but I think we end up getting a little luxury pick at the end here. Strong at receiver, leaning into Kittle, Henry. I think is a fine combo as well. Yeah, I think people maybe draft 3 tight ends with Kittle a little too much. Like, you're going to get those points back, right? Like those games that you lose out on 5 points at tight end because Kittle's just MIA and everyone else is hitting. You're going to get that 25-point week that is going to just balance those points. And he's going to score that like 150 to 160. Like, he's so steady in that range. 170 even. Like, imagine if...
Yeah. And to me, the huge part is like the reason I like elite tight end, and I mentioned this, like the way I personally define elite tight end is, are you willing to only do two tight ends with them? Right. If you say like, I'm willing to do Jake Ferguson and Hunter Henry and shut it down, like, more power to you. I'm not, but I am willing to do what we just did, George Kittle and Hunter Henry. And the reason that is such a feature is because there aren't a lot of really good late tight ends. And I want to free up that roster spot. I'd rather use that pick on Jordan Mason or another upside wide receiver. And look, there are some new scroll the F down tight ends I like. I think Theo Johnson's fun. I like Jatavian Sanders. I think they're solid picks. But when I take Kittle, I want to have the luxury to be done at too.
Yeah. And leading into that early ADP, like, you're drafting like you're right. And that also... I agree. Where can we get the most points? Where can we get the most upside with another click versus tight end, where you already have that elite upside at tight end, or you should with Kittle? And that's what's so nice about elite tight ends. But Pete, I don't want to keep you too long. Appreciate you coming out. You have a little randomizer draft tonight with Tyler Emo Cowboy over at Fantasy Sanctuary. What else do you have going on?
Yeah, man. Tonight's my busy night. We'll do that with Tyler at 7:45, and then over on Ship Chasing, we're kicking off our FFPC main event high stakes draft. So that'll be at 9. And then so it's gonna be wild here as we get rolling with draft season. And then I have a Bestball After Dark on my channel. You've been a guest on Bestball After Dark. That's for premium members, and I'm having Hope Bishop on from UD. I had knew me on kind of at the beginning of Hot Best Ball Summer, and now kind of getting Hope on here at the close. Maybe I can pry some info out of her down the home stretch.
Oh yeah, I bet you will. You got to get into the memberships for the goodies there. Fully recommend it. You guys can follow Pete. I'm sure you already are, but if you're not, by some chance, link in the description of the video to his YouTube and his Twitter. Pete, appreciate coming out, and it's just an honor to have you on the show. Great meeting you in Miami, and you finally you succeeded in the away game now.
That's right. And if for some reason you're watching this for the first time, please get subscribed, because I want to watch Pat be miserable for 24 hours drafting teams. I want to be able to just like randomly, I want to like be able to wake up in the middle of the night going to the bathroom being like, oh, I should just check on how Tyler's doing or Pat's doing right now.
Just fully asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just join the 23rd hour. But I appreciate everyone coming out. If you guys did enjoy today's show, go down, drop the like on the live stream, hit the sub if you want to see the 24-hour stream, and we catch you on the next one. Pounders.